Are you a hiker looking for the ultimate snack to keep inside your pack? Are you a prepper type who's looking for a easy, shelf-stable calorie source just in case shit hits the fan? Or you're a history buff like me who just likes old weird stuff? Well, have I got something for you. You might be familiar with hardtack. Now, hardtack is a super old form of bread. Think about unleavened bread. Think about bread in its essence, which is just flour, water, and potentially salt. Hardtack is basically a naval version of that, a variation which was used for people living aboard ships who needed food to last a very long time and not spoil. So what they did is they made a simple bread out of flour, water, and salt, and they cooked it for a very long time until it was rock hard. This was called hardtack. It was then rehydrated aboard a ship and people would eat it. Now, I thought that this was something that was relegated to antiquity, but when I visited Newfoundland just a month ago, I was so surprised to find that hardtack is not only still available, but is actually a staple in the Newfoundland cuisine. It is still being manufactured by a company based in St. John's called Purity, and it can be purchased at virtually any grocery store in Newfoundland. So naturally, I picked up a couple of bags and I took them home with me. Let's take a look at them and let's see what the modern equivalent of hardtack is still being sold today. So I'm gonna take it over to my table for some of these shots. Okay, so this is a bag of Purity hard bread. As you see, it's called hard bread and not hardtack, but it is in fact hardtack, so don't worry. I'm gonna read this here, it's off the side. This is hard bread in Purity's own words. Hard bread, also known as hardtack, has been a dietary staple of Newfoundlanders for many years. Hard bread was developed from the ancient sea biscuit, which formed the basis of meals on fishing vessels and cargo ships prior to the 1840s when baking on board was near impossible. Due to its long life, hard bread was an ideal substitute for fresh bread. As one tale goes, a cook on a schooner was preparing a meal of hard bread and fish for the crew and was asked to break up the bread or bruise it prior to being soaked. Thus the term bruise. And bruise, B-R-E-W-I-S, is a Newfoundland word which is actually part of a recipe called fish and bruise. And it's salted cod that has been desalinated and has been boiled. And then it's hard bread, which has been separately boiled. And then they're combined to make fish and bruise. I had that when I was there and it's pretty interesting. The hard bread is basically a mush at that point. And the fish is also kind of a mush. So it's a mushy kind of gray dish, but it's actually pretty good. And in fact, there's actually a recipe on the side of the bag if you want to make it yourself. Now, I'm gonna open this bag up and show you what these look like. They're pretty interesting looking. They basically just look like a little loaf of bread. Let's open it up and take a look inside. Okay, so looking inside the bag, it's pretty funny how these are packaged. It's literally little loaves of bread, as you can see in here. And there's little cracks in them because they're so dried out, but they're basically little cakes that have been solidified to the point of being essentially a rock. And it's cute. They've stamped Purity on the top of them and they are hard. Let me just slap them together a little bit and you can get a sense of how hard these are just by hearing it. That's something you don't want to bite into. Now, I actually got screeched in, if anybody knows what that is. It's kind of a rite of passage if you're visiting Newfoundland. And part of the tradition is to have a little piece of hard bread in the ceremony. And they didn't soak it for us. They gave us a really little piece and they told you to put it in your mouth and gather some saliva up in there, throw it in, and then soften it in your mouth before you really start to chew. So at that little amount, you can eat this loaf. You can break it up that much, you can bruise it, and you can eat it like this. And I'm not gonna tell you that it tastes good. It honestly tastes like when you lick an envelope, and it's an entire loaf of that. But I'm still eating it, so there's something to be said. Now you're probably wondering, what can I do with a product like this? Like, what is the point of this other than being kind of a weird historical food? I think it's something that you can use to just add filling. If you're making a soup or a stew or something like that, I would say break it up first, bruise it, then put little pieces of it into your soup or your stew, let it break down. It's gonna add some extra calories. It's gonna add a little bit extra carb. It's gonna fill it out for you. Each of these little loaves have 290 calories in it. So they're pretty dense little guys. So if this is something you wanted to stock up in some sort of emergency preparedness kit, if you just had a few bags of these, you'd be able to probably provide food for one person for up to a week. If this is stored remotely well, it will last a very long time. I actually watched a YouTuber, I think his name's Steve MRE. Steve ate hardtack that was from the Civil War era. And it had been dehydrated and it had been stored, I guess, semi-well because he was able to rehydrate it and eat it and live to tell about it. Now there's obviously pretty much no nutrition in this. It's just refined flour and water and salt, but it's something that's basically just gonna get you through hard times. Hard bread for hard times. So yeah, I think it's a pretty neat product. It's cool that there's a company that's still manufacturing a historical food like this and that it's still readily available. Now, I think there still is a place for hard bread in today's world. It's a simple, shelf-stable source of calories you can keep around, and it's minimally processed. Like, you look at the ingredient list on a lot of products and it's a mile long. On here, it's literally flour, salt, and water. So it really can't get any more simple than that, and there's no added preservatives into it. Maybe their methods have changed. I don't know what Purity does at the factory to actually make these, but ingredient-wise, there's not really been any change since the 1840s when these would have been used aboard ships. So if you're like me and you're a history buff and you're interested in stuff like this, maybe you write with a quill or you light with an oil lamp, this might be something you want to try. So I put a link down in the description if you're interested in picking up a bag of this. It's not an affiliate link. Purity Foods doesn't have any idea that I'm making a video about this. I just thought that this was so cool. And I'm not sure how many people outside of Newfoundland know that this is available. So if you feel the same, you can go down in the description, you can pick up a pack yourself, and you can try some hard bread, some in the flesh hardtack. If you're interested in seeing how I'm going to be using hardtack in my cooking, leave a comment and that may be something that I'll make in a future video. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found this as interesting as I did, and I'll see you in the next video.